Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Jordan Bateman from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, the people have spoken in the lower mainland of British Columbia. They held a referendum, now it ended a month ago, about whether we should pay 0.5% more on our sales tax to fund transit improvements. The result, Jordan, was
62% of people said no. Strong vote against the mayor's tax plan. Strong message against TransLink itself. And I'll be honest, the start of a pretty good summer for me. It's a very, very tremendous victory, and really proud of how taxpayers have rallied to a cause that didn't have the same kind of campaign spending that the other side has.
How much did they spend on the yes side on the referendum?
Well, the TransLink yes side spent $6.8 million, $6.6 million of which was direct taxpayer money. So yeah, almost $7 million. We spent about $40,000, and obviously pulled out I think 20-something point victory. So certainly got a lot better bang from our buck on the no side than they did on the yes side.
Why do you think people voted no?
Well, there are a number of reasons, and we always made it clear there's no wrong reason to vote no. But two kind of main camps developed. First is the I'm taxed enough already camp. People who feel like they're living month to month on credit cards, they can't afford to be paying more in taxes than the 42% they already see evaporate from their income. People who didn't want to have the cities get their hands into the sales tax till, and a small percentage of people who were concerned about the regressive nature of the sales tax. Then there was kind of the other group, which is people who were concerned about the way TransLink manages money. That TransLink wastes too much of our tax dollars to be trusted with more of it. There's some overlap between those two groups, but that's really the two key messages that have come out.
Do you think they'll still find a way to fund these improvements without worrying about doing it through a sales tax?
I think they will find money for some of them. The mayor's plan, if you actually look through it, some of the things that would actually reduce or get good bang for the buck in reducing congestion are actually fairly cheap. Things that you could find the money within TransLink to find if they really buckle down and quit messing around with stupid things like public art projects and executive bonuses and all the sorts of silly vanity projects that TransLink seems to get dragged into. Some of the bigger projects, the Surrey Light Rail Line, for example, the mayor of Surrey had always planned to do that as a public-private partnership. They're actually in the second round of federal government P3 vetting. So that project can continue on without this tax. The Patello Bridge was a toll bridge. It didn't need this tax to go forward, so that could go forward. The only person who's kind of left out in the cold, I guess, would be Mayor Robertson, but he's had 10 years in power to come up with a funding strategy for his Arbutus subway. I'd say that's more about his failure as a leader than our failure as taxpayers to not give him enough of our money.
Do you think the politicians will find a reason why this is good news or bad?
The politicians today have been very negative about the whole thing. Again, getting back to, the mayor is blaming it on the province pointing out it's the mayor's fault, back and forth. This is exactly what taxpayers hate. We just want good governance. When you write a tax check, I don't think it matters to you where it goes, whether it's federal government, provincial government, municipal government. You just see it as taxes. And what we're saying is, look, the billions of dollars you're taking in taxes from this region, there's more than enough money in there, if managed correctly, to deliver on significant regional priorities like this. And I hope that they take this as a message across the board to get back to work and do what's right for taxpayers.
Somebody said it was just a sleazy thing for the province to do to force taxpayers to decide whether they wanted to pay more for transit.
Yeah, that's nonsense. Direct democracy is never sleazy. Why shouldn't the public have a say in a brand new tax for a new level of government to get their hands on? I've been critical of the Liberals and Premier Clark on many things. Minister Stone certainly I've been very critical of from time to time. This plebiscite, having this opportunity to vote, is not one of them. The mayors weren't complaining quite as much when the first poll came out in December and they were up by 13 points. It was only when we got to work in January, leading the no side, pointing out TransLink's multitude of waste issues, and reminding the public of just how poorly run TransLink is, that's when they started to really get sour on the whole experience. So one today, they'd be talking up the great benefits of having the public support on board.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Was this really a referendum on TransLink itself? Their boss says, no, it wasn't. It was just about spending and whether they wanted improvements in the future. Do you think that people were voting because they thought TransLink was poorly run?
Some people definitely voted because TransLink was poorly run. And I don't need another $400,000 a year CEO sitting there telling me, why I voted. TransLink messed this up. The first job here has got to be fixing that organization.
Well, the fact that they have two $500,000 a year CEOs running the thing, right there, that was a prime example. I think a lot of people thought, this is outrageous. If the first CEO is so bad, why is he still there?
Exactly. And why is he collecting bonuses for being there if he's so bad? The day that they punted Jarvis upstairs was the day that they lost the ability to argue with our side that this wasn't about TransLink. Because clearly it was. It was a cynical maneuver pulled by a desperate Gregor Robertson and his campaign team that failed, backfired miserably on them. We ended up paying these two CEOs. We're now advertising for a third CEO, and it just became another symbol of TransLink waste and really focused the argument. And I think, I think we made the case in January. I think that kind of mid-February Jarvis decision cemented it in people's minds, and from there, nothing the TransLink side could do changed any of the votes. They brought in Jimmy Pattison. They put out all these fake studies that pretended the world would be so much more incredibly wonderful, and chipmunks would come and dress us in the morning, and chickadees would sing to us as we rode buses. They tried all of that after the fact. It didn't matter. Public opinion had cemented, and people were ready to vote no.
Well, Jimmy Pattison's involvement, he chaired a committee to encourage people to vote yes, yet I don't recall hearing one thing from him.
No, I mean, he did some interviews at the very beginning and then kind of disappeared. I think when the public didn't respond with open arms to the idea, I think he went away. The truth is, it actually just reinforced our message on the no side, which is, TransLink wastes so much money. Now they have to bring in Jimmy Pattison to try to control them. The problem was they were going to give him, a little bit of influence over the $250 million a year or so, and none over the $1.5 billion that TransLink already gets.
Do you think now TransLink is going to be a little more aware of people's, I would say, if this is the right kind of term, upsettedness with the organization? Do you think they'll reorganize, try to run Trimmer more efficiently?
I hope so. His comments today lead me to wonder otherwise. And, after the debate closed, after the voting came out, things that they had hidden during the plebiscite campaign itself, TransLink needs a complete culture change. The most important thing that happens now is the Premier and the Minister of Transportation must get involved in hiring the next CEO of TransLink. We've got to get a person in there with real organizational talent, these guys to change the way they do business and change it from an organization and turn it into an organization that, is customer and taxpayer focused. That's the biggest job here now is finding the right CEO to lead that.
Oh, then we'll be paying three guys to do the same job.
Then we'll be paying three, although Alan will be gone, so we'll be back to two, and then Jarvis, I think his contract is up in a year or something, so eventually we'll be rid of the bad cold of the double CEOs.
Does Transit need to spend $30 million a year on its police force?
You've got enough jurisdictional police to handle serious crime issues. I say take some of the $30 million, maybe $10 million, stock it into hiring more transit security so you actually have more eyes on the system. And then, save the rest of the money, put it towards other things. To me, that's that's an easy thing to do. Transit police are expensive, because they're cops, so they have to be outfitted with guns and bulletproof vests and have training and get, almost $100,000 a year salaries. You're paying them when they're in court. You're paying them to, drive around, when the system itself is, obviously transit and they should be there. These are expensive things to have. And what would be nice to have that, it's unnecessary, and there are cheaper ways of making sure people are safe on the system.
You go by their parking lot in New Westminster, the cars are always parked there, 30 of them. Why is that every day that they bought all these cars and they just sit there?
Well, because they're all in the gym upstairs, the fancy taxpayer-funded gym that we pay for the transit police to have. So, look, you're not going to hear any defense of the transit cops from me. I think that they're a waste of money. I've thought that for a long time. I remember the first time I talked about it, Bill Good thought I'd lost my mind on CKNW, just about, he actually argued with me. Wait, I've never had anyone on here ask for less police. And I'm like, well, I want real police, not the glorified fare checkers of the transit cops.
And crime rates have been dropping over the last 3 decades.
Crime rates on the system, on the transit system, have not dropped as fast as they have across the Lower Mainland. So transit police will put out a news release, breaking their arm, patting themselves on the back for a 7% crime drop. You look across the Lower Mainland, crime dropped, 14%. So really, transit police are only half as good as jurisdictional police. If we want to actually drop crime, maybe we should have better cops on the system.
Do you think they spend all their time just checking fares and that's it?
Yeah, 2/3 of transit police files are fare checks. And, come on. Look, we all go to Disneyland. We don't need people with guns and bulletproof vests to check us in and get us on rides and stuff like that. I'm not saying there shouldn't be eyes on the system, keeping an eye on things. Absolutely, there should be transit security. Fare checks should happen. Although with Compass cards coming in and the gates, conceivably closing at some point, that's another opportunity to whittle down transit police.
Jordan, are you going to be celebrating?
I am. It's been a busy day today, busy tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to a Friday night and the weekend, and I'm not going to lie, there's a couple of cold craft beer waiting for me upstairs when I'm done all these media hits, so I'm going to enjoy those. The people who are really celebrating, though, are my poor family who have had to put up with me walking on eggshells the last 5 weeks, wondering how this thing was going to turn out, whether I was going to have a really good summer or a really miserable one. But, really proud of our team. One person I want to mention specifically is Hamish Marshall, who is our campaign manager. When every other fancy spin doctor in Vancouver was wetting their beak with TransLink money, getting paid big bucks to consult and spin and plan their campaign, Hamish Marshall came on board and joined us, grossly underpaid, but incredible asset and someone who won't get the kind of credit that he deserves, but helped me through all of this. So looking forward to seeing him and to celebrating this win.
Well, you take a taxi or a bus home.
Yes, I will be safe.
Jordan, thanks a lot for talking with us.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Jordan Bateman from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet or check out our popular YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.